Hi, everybody. This is Dawn Mitchell, and welcome to Dawn of Sports. I always say this every week, but I'm really excited for this guest. Jim is really good friends with LaTroy Hawkins. You know who he is, a former star for the Twins, pitcher that was just amazing that I knew back with the Chicago Cubs. He not only has a new business, he also has a podcast, a Thick Skin podcast, but we're talking baseball. We're talking LaTroy and what he's doing now. And he's just one of those all-time good guys. And I kind of agree with USA Today's Bob Nightingale back in the day when he tried to get him in the Hall of Fame with a vote. If I could have a vote, get him in. I know he can't do it anymore, but I would love to have seen him in there with Joe Mauer. Anyway, we have LaTroy Hawkins, the Hawk, coming up with a really good interview and more. Stick around.
Yes, welcome back to Dawn of Sports. Yes, this is show stars Dawn Mitchell of Fox 9. I'm Jim Souhan from Star Tribune. Brandon Morton is our longtime producer. A lot to get to today. We will finish the show with a nice long chat with my old friend LaTroy Hawkins. Dawn actually covered him in Chicago as well as up here. LaTroy's always been one of my favorites. Great wide-ranging conversation, as they say. We talk about everything from to the Twins' new bullpen to his relationship with Patrick Mahomes and Taylor Swift. Not his relationship with Taylor Swift, but we talk about Taylor Swift. Great conversation with LaTroy, which is not surprising. But Dawn, for us today, let us start with Chris Finch. First of all,
Yes.
He came out to Head Flyer Brewing on Saturday for the John Krasinski show. NBA coaches don't do that. They don't come out to local podcasts and they don't sit in front of fans at bars. Chris is just that kind of a guy. Very gracious of him. He was a blast. And then the next night, Sunday night, the Timberwolves win and send him to the All-Star game as the All-Star coach. I'm really happy for him. He's such a good guy. And as I wrote about in the Monday Star Tribune, it's been a bumpy last month. They haven't played as well as they did earlier. But we have to pull the camera back and remember they're still on a historic plane here. They are still going. This is still going to be one of the great seasons in Timberwolves history. It's a likable team, and Finch deserves a lot of credit for all of that.
Yeah, and I think fans need to remember that just because you're having a great season doesn't mean that it's infallible, that, there can't be bumps in the road, and sometimes when you face adversity during a good season, that's what gets you ready for the playoffs. When everyone's just kind of cruising through and they get to the playoffs, that's when you see you're just slammed in that first round. You're bounced, you're swept. So I don't see any of the tough road as a bad thing overall when they're playing good basketball. But when it comes to Chris, I was just so happy because, they clinched the best record in the West, right? Through games played so far through, let's say through the fourth or whatever's coming up. And they even have the tiebreaker scenarios. That's not an easy feat to do, especially when you're the Timberwolves, right? And to be the first head coach since I think Flip Saunders, to get the All-Star game, that's just coaches, all they get is if they win, right? If they win the whole thing, great coach. It's hard to get these little nuggets of honor. And that really is one. So he's so cool. He's so chill, he's laid back, and to see that smile, that little kind of quirky smile on his face, when he gets that, I couldn't see his face on the podcast. So how was that when he was on the podcast? I mean, I think that was before he found out, right?
Yeah, it was Saturday night, so he hadn't gotten it yet. He was just great. He likes talking about basketball. He's very human. He lives in Minneapolis and walks around and eats the same places I do. He's just, listen, I know a lot of people at a lot of levels in the Timberwolves organization, and everybody loves him. And you think back, listen, Tom Thibodeau is a really good coach.
Right.
And if you get Tom away from the arena, he's a really good guy. But he could not shut off his almost his competitive anger when he was in the building. So even though I know Tom's a good guy and everybody knows he's a good coach, he wore out his welcome incredibly fast, because he wasn't a very good general manager. The Butler deal killed him, but also because he built up no equity in the organization. Nobody wanted to be around him. And he's a good coach. Finch is the opposite. Finch everybody loves Finch. Even my wife knows people in the organization, and they'll text and say, "Oh, Finchy's such a good guy." So it's fun to see good people succeed.
It's good that a nice guy isn't finishing last so far. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, if you're new to Dawn of Sports, we have great guests. LaTroy this week. We've had everybody from Mark Rosen, Chad Greenway, Brian Robinson, Mike Tirico, Katie Storm, Andrea Yock, Julia Daniels, Laura Oakman. We've just had great guests throughout. Dawn gets almost all of them, and I really appreciate her efforts in that regard. Jack Jablonski is another one. It's been a blast to do the show. What we do is we start off the shows with talking about our favorite stories of the week. Then we have our interview at the end. We want to thank Rudy Luther Toyota for being such great supporters of women's sports and our women's sports shows at talknorth.com.
Ready for a women-forward car dealership? Rudy Luther Toyota empowers their many women on staff in sales, management, and service. Whether you are looking for a new Toyota or pre-owned vehicle, Rudy Luther Toyota has something for everyone. Every vehicle comes with a Luther Advantage. 10 cents off fuel and car wash discounts at holiday stations, Luther Advantage warranty, and 5-day return policy on pre-owned vehicles. Located just 5 minutes west of downtown Minneapolis, off 394 and General Mills Boulevard. And they're also hiring. Want to join the team but don't know where to start? Visit rudyluthertoyota.com today.
Also want to throw out just a plug for my favorite men's clothing store, Twill in the Edina Galleria. If anybody out there ever wants to shop for the man in your life, father, brother, husband, spouse, whatever, I highly recommend Twill. Check it out and tell Scott Dayton, the owner, that we sent you. Let's get on to now the Lynx. The Lynx have been, I'm writing about this week. They have gone through so many point guards since Lindsay Whalen retired. Whalen retired in 2018, and you knew it would be, they weren't going to get another Lindsay Whalen. She's one of the greatest to ever play the game. But you figured they'd kind of find somebody who could just play the position. And the sad thing is they found a lot of players who are good or talented or capable. And so often either they just didn't quite fit what Cheryl wanted, or they got hurt. They've had a lot of injuries at the position, and they've had a lot of people come in and just not quite be good enough. And now they go out and get Courtney Williams, who's a true starting point guard in the league, coming off her best season. They get Heidemann, who's going to be a very strong backup. They might have finally found a combination that will solidify that position.
Yeah, and I think many fans are a little weary right now because there's just so many changes going on. Like someone texted me going, I don't even know anybody that's on the Lynx right now other than Nafisa Collier. And I'm like, well, that's just the nature of sports. Why is this so different? I think because for a long time, everyone was used to the Lindsays, the Simones, and I think the patience has to be there. And it's hard everyone wants a point guard to be another Lindsay Whalen. Well, she's a once in a lifetime generational talent. Like, give these other players a chance, So if you get Courtney Williams in, I think forward Alana Smith is going to be good. Bridget Carlton is back. Nafisa Collier, she's already going to the Olympic qualifiers again. I mean, you have talent on this team. Like, let's get our head out of the past and put it in the now. And when you have a coach like Cheryl who can get the best out of everyone when it comes to players, let her work her magic. Let them get together. I have high hopes for Courtney Williams, but you're right. There's so many injuries. You can't know when an injury is going to hit someone. You also can't put your finger, Jim, and you've seen this a long time on the chemistry. A team has to have chemistry. You have to be able to work the offense. You have to have all of that in a short amount of time. So I just think maybe patience will be the key. And hopefully we'll keep our fingers crossed and see how it all gels together.
Right. And big picture, they were always going to have to rebuild. They kind of hung in there after Lindsay retired and after the championships are over. They actually hung in there. They got to the semifinals in 2020 with a team that I didn't think was particularly all that deep or talented, and they found a way. But there was always going to be a lull. And part of the lull was the fact that when they got a good point guard like Clarendon was a very good player who really fit what Cheryl wanted. A leader, tough defender, a thinker, somebody who could orchestrate an offense. And Clarendon just couldn't stay healthy. And so even when they've had good players, it hasn't necessarily worked out. Collier has gone from being a very good player to being a star, and she might become a superstar.
Yeah.
They need to get Diamond Miller healthy. They need to use the 7th pick in the draft well this year. And I think all those things with Courtney Williams, with Heidemann, they have a chance to get back to being, an above 500 playoff team. That's probably the realistic goal here.
And I was surprised. I don't know if you were that when Nicolina Milic, I hope I'm saying, I always mess up her last name. She always laughs at me. She's sitting out. She's going to stay overseas.
Yeah.
So
it's too bad because she's a nice player.
She is.
And she has size and she has some creativity around the rim. And Jessica Shepard's not going to play. And those are losses. I don't think they prevent this from being a good team.
Exactly. I'm with you on that. And I think we would hear more if wow, that superstar is going to sit out. Other than Nafisa, they don't really have superstars yet.
No, she's the key, no doubt about it. And I think Courtney Williams will help a great deal. Let's do our Minnesota Aurora minute. I just wanted to highlight somebody I got a chance to talk to early last season. That was Tiana Harris. She played at a couple different places in college. She came up here. She really didn't have any idea what the Minnesota Aurora was. She found out about them. She ended up jumping in. She ended up leading the team in minutes last year. Very strong, physical defender. This isn't new news, but I want to highlight it. She signed her first professional contract with FC Fleury 91, who play in Division I Feminine, the first division. And if I messed up any pronunciations, I'm going to apologize. It's the first division of women's soccer/football in France. It's a really cool thing that someone who didn't even know what the Minnesota Aurora was ends up playing for the Aurora, having a great season, and then getting to sign a professional contract. That's what it's all about for this organization.
Well, especially so, I think she went over there last year. She was kind of thrown in there right at the end, and to be kind of thrown into it, and then to do so well, and for them to want her back. And I kind of follow her on Instagram, and I can't speak enough about her. You're absolutely right, Jim. She came in and she was a leader, and then she showed by example. I started my soccer career as a defenseman, and sometimes it's hard because it's usually always the midfielder or the superstar, whatever that is. She established herself as the leader of that team, the vocal leader, and had a lot of people look up to her. And so then to take that next leap and go to France, and then to be so successful and sign this contract, it's I just hope it's one of many, because I think when we had Nicole on, didn't she say, I think she's got 5 or 6 women that have already gone pro. So I just think that that's fantastic and just leads into this a little bit more. And these women don't forget from whence they came. Right. Tiana is still what's going on with the Aurora? How can I help? Or what's going on? Checking in. So I think that that's kind of cool.
Yeah, Tiana's a really cool person. Glad to see her having this success. All right, a couple more topics before we get to LaTroy. First, Super Bowl coming up. I'll just lead off. I'll say the things I've said on our football shows. I don't pick against Patrick Mahomes. I picked him in all 3 playoff games. I'm going to pick him to win the Super Bowl. I think the ability of Mahomes, Kelsey, Andy Reid, and Steve Spagnuolo to not only, Reid and Spagnuolo come up with great game plans. The game plan got them off to a really fast start against the Ravens last week. But they also have the ability, because of Mahomes, Kelsey, and the coaching, they have the ability to adapt so quickly if they need to change or adapt anything within a game. The 49ers are excellent. They're great. I'm still going to pick Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
I'm with you, but I love the storylines of both teams. This is how I view it. I'm I love the storylines of both teams going in, right? I wouldn't be upset if Brock Purdy continued this and did that. However, I also love the dynasty of Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think they just have the experience, been there, done that. Not to say this is going to be a cakewalk by any means. And then on the flip side, I like to see Christian McCaffrey finally get, the Super Bowl, why he wanted to be traded, So I just, as a viewer, not even as what we do for a profession, as a viewer, I'm this is so loaded with so many storylines. I just love it. But Patrick Mahomes has been there, done that. And we'll hear later from LaTroy Hawkins, and he talks about this too, how Patrick is a leader of this team. And when you've already been to the big game and you've already won it, you know how to get your guys in certain moments and to get them over the hump. The moment won't be too big for them. And I'm not saying it's going to be too big for the 49ers. I'm just like, I'm with you. I think they're going to continue. Back to back is always so hard to do. And that, some teams are like, well, we've been here before, we're easily going to win it. No, they want to prove it again. And also, just for an aside, I thought about this a couple of times. I'm like, wow, so Taylor Swift won a Grammy. What if Travis Kelce wins? So what a year for this couple, like when they're old and gray, if they're still together. I'm like, remember that year when you won the Super Bowl and we were just dating and I got the Grammy the same year, coming off that Eras tour. I know that's weird, but that was just a little blip in my mind this morning. Like that would be kind of cool on a weird tangent, not a football tangent. So,
well, and we have more Swiftie and Mahomes talk coming up with LaTroy, who LaTroy is Patrick Mahomes' godfather. Let's wrap up this segment before we get to LaTroy. Do you have an FTG this week?
My FTG is for a collective. It is for the collective group of people that are against the whole Travis and Taylor. Like a part of me is happy for the Super Bowl to kind of happen so I don't have to hear it anymore. Just the vitriol. But on the flip side, there's so many people saying if this affects you so much, or also your young daughters, like Taylor Swift doesn't care what you're saying about her, but your daughters are listening. Right. So it's the FTG for the collective of the people who are talking. Like really, if that affects you as a person, that you're so angry about people you don't even know, what example are you showing to the young girls and young boys that are watching it? Like, oh, okay, a woman shouldn't like express herself. So FTG to that group.
Well, you took my FTG, so I'm just going to agree with you, and we will talk more about that with LaTroy Hawkins, who is very good on the subject as well. So, hey, for right now, I want to let you know if you like this show, if you like any show at TalkNorth.com, we got Krasinski, we got Russo, we got Jeff Diamond's been great on the Vikings salary cap machinations and how they're going to put it all together. We have the Viking Update show. We've just got a lot of good stuff. If you like a show at TalkNorth.com, please subscribe to your favorite podcast app. It's free. It's the easiest way to listen. And now we're going to talk to another podcaster. LaTroy Hawkins has started a podcast with his old friend, Jock Jones. Dawn and I are going to chat with him about it. Hey, thanks to everybody for listening. Enjoy LaTroy. As promised, today's special guest, LaTroy Hawkins, special assistant to baseball operations, still very involved with the Twins. And now has started a new podcast with another one of my old favorites when I cover the Twins, Jock Jones. It's great to hear your voices together. You're getting great guests, of course. So, LaTroy, just start off, catch us up with everything going on in your life and the new podcast.
Ooh, everything that's going on. First of all, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate being on. It's always a pleasure when you can get to talk to old friends, Jim.
Yes, sir.
Always a pleasure. What's going on in my life? Man, I thought I retired 8 years ago. I stayed at home for a year. Then I took the special assistant job with the Twins and started doing, probably about 30 games on a broadcast. It started off as Fox. Now it's Bally's. Well, now we don't know who it's going to be. But I'm doing that. Just going around our organization, helping out pitchers from the Dominican all the way up to the major leagues. And when I say helping out, a lot of it doesn't have to do with working the mechanics or the pitch design and all that stuff. We got enough computers that can do that. For me, it's mostly from the neck up. From the neck up for me, just, helping them understand about what it takes to be a pro, mindset when you're on the mound, different ways to attack hitters and things like that. So that's predominantly my job when I say special assistant to baseball operations. Life, my daughter's a senior in college. Wife's doing her thing with her nonprofit, Find One Reason to Smile. And
which I love. That's a great name for a great organization.
Yep. And we work with domestic violence survivors, male and females. And, recently Jock Jones, another former twin, and I decided to, neither one of us are really big talkers. So when Jock came to me and asked me, he's like, hey, he would like to do a podcast. I told him, I said, hey, I worked for TuneIn Radio. TuneIn at one time in 2016. I was like, I know some great producers. So let me reach out to Jeremiah Tittle and see what he can, if he can help us. And he said, sure, he could. And talked about what we wanted the podcast to be about. So we came up with the name, and the name is Thick Skin with Jock and Hawk. And that's on Instagram. Our Instagram page is thick_skin_podcast. And we're talking about, when the media gets it wrong, guys have a chance to
what?
guys have a chance to tell their side of the story. And, our very first episode was with my buddy Jock Jones and the situation he found himself in back in 2017 when he was the assistant hitting coach with the Washington Nationals. And the media made it out to be it was revenge porn. And, that wasn't the definition of revenge porn back then. And the first episode, he gets a chance to apologize for his wrongdoing and also give you insight of actually, what happened. And he apologized to the young lady. He apologized to everybody that believed in him, and he did some soul searching. And I thought it was the best way to start off a podcast being called Thick Skin because, the criticism, the being blackballed and all the things that he had to deal with, he needed thick skin. He needed thick skin.
I texted with Jock a couple of times the last few days. Sounds like he's still living in San Diego and doing pretty well.
Yeah, he's doing great. He's doing great. And doing that time, he took that time out to go back and go to college and get his college degree. Mm-hmm. He did that. Also did some reflection, therapist, strengthen his relationship with his kids, and just a little soul searching and understood, we all make mistakes and he deserves a second chance. And me being his big brother, anything I do, he's going to be a part of. And the people that I'm saying I'm a part of, they say no, we're going to keep, pushing at it until they say yes.
LaTroy, it was great for me. I reconnected with Jock. We're friends on Facebook, and this is many, maybe 5-8 years ago. And he was like, wait a minute, I know you, like refresh my memory. Cause he was a little standoffish, like, who is this? And the funny story is when I moved to Minnesota, I got his old apartment. So I was getting his mail. So I'd be like, I go to the Twins and I'm like, hey Jock, just aside from all the other media. And I said, I think I have your mail. And he's like, what? He goes, any paychecks in there? And I'm like, no, unfortunately, no paychecks. But I said, yes. So I told him where I was living. He goes, yes. Oh my gosh. So we'd always laugh about that. And, not that we became super close, you always try to maintain the boundary, especially a woman. For me, I always maintain professional boundaries. I'm not buddies with the players, just how I've learned that in my career. But we always just that was our joke, our laugh. And I'd be like, yeah, Macy's wondering where the heck you are. Here's your 10% discount, that kind of stuff. And we'd have this joke. So I don't know, it was a friend suggestion or something like that. And so I just sent him a note like, hey, your Macy's discount is still waiting for you. And then he just laughed. And so we have been friends that way on Facebook. And it has been wonderful for me. I saw him when he posted the pictures when he got his degree. And he's posting pictures about, whether he's getting back in shape or something with his kids. And I'm so glad you were doing this because people from the outside don't see many athletes as humans,
Yeah.
And they hold athletes, and I say they, because it's fans as well, hold athletes sometimes to this impossible plateau, that you have to be perfect, that you can't stumble, that you can't make a mistake, and that they're not human. And so for me, that's just been beautiful to see him kind of have this metamorphosis. So I'm so glad you guys are doing that podcast.
Yeah. And, Jock he's always been a quiet guy. And it's funny because my mom passed away in July of 2020. And his mom Miss Linda, Mama Linda with Mama L, I call her. She checks on me every month. She sends me a text. How you doing? How you doing, son? How you doing? How you doing? And 2 days ago, she was like, I want to thank you, LaTroy, for, being a big brother to Jock, because I'm seeing a side of him I didn't know he had. And I was like, that's what the podcast is for, so people can see a different side of us.
Yeah.
And she was like, that's my own son. I didn't know, I'd never seen that side. And she was like, I appreciate you. And I was like, no, I appreciate you more, because she's checked on me every month since my mom passed away. Yep.
And my condolences on that. I've lost both my parents, and
me too.
Losing your parents is, I would say, I lost the rudder, my compass, and it doesn't go away. I mean, I think we just learned to deal with it a little bit more, but it's one of the most earth shattering things I think can happen to you. So I'm really sorry about that.
Yeah, you're right. And, it's when you go through it, it's like you lose the first person who ever loves you unconditionally.
Yeah.
And it's something to deal with. But I tell my brothers, and when I speak to people, I say, she prepared us to live without her. And I think she did her job. Even though we miss her, she prepared us to live without her, because she knew if it goes the way it's supposed to go, eventually we were going to have to live without our parents. So I always give her credit for preparing me for that.
Wow. Well, it's true.
Yeah. And LaTroy, this is old ground. We've talked about this before, and it's probably pretty well known by Twin fans, but I'm just always fascinated by your career path. I mean, I remember going down to Gary, or where was it? Where did you play low A ball?
Fort Wayne.
Fort Wayne, that's right. I went down to Fort Wayne when you were top prospect and dominating that league, and chatted with you. That was the first time I met you. And then I saw you go through everything you went through to make it and to establish yourself as a big league pitcher. And then, the highlight for Twins fans is you standing on the mound throwing 100 or whatever in Oakland during a playoff game. And, nobody could have predicted what would come next, that you'd end up pitching for like 50 teams and pitching for 40 years and staying around the big leagues forever. You talk about your mom. What was she the inspiration, or was there somebody in your life who helped you have the kind of perseverance you needed to have the kind of career you had?
You know what, Jim? It all goes back to my mom and my grandmother and my grandfather. My grandfather worked in a steel mill for 38 years. My mom was a single mom raising 3 boys. I'll never say she did it by herself, because we had a whole village. My grandmother Lee, my mom's mom, my aunts, it was just, we were a tight-knit family. We didn't have a lot, but, just seeing all the people in our family, how resilient the people around me were. Growing up in a blue-collar city like Gary, Indiana, you have to be tough. If you don't, you're going to get taken advantage of. Things that will get under the skin or rattle or throw, a normal person, a regular person off compass. Those things wasn't able to throw me off compass when I was on my journey through the minor leagues to try to get to the big leagues and being able to stay in the big leagues. The perseverance, just being, just seeing things from a Gary, Indiana, a Midwest blue collar perspective. I think that definitely helped me through all the ups and the downs. Like you said, those first couple of years in the major leagues, they wasn't pretty. But I didn't give up. I did not give up. And I have to give praise to the great Tom Kelly, because I didn't give up on myself, because TK never gave up on me. TK never gave up on me. I don't care how bad I was. He never gave up on me. He saw something inside of me that I didn't see in myself. And without TK being in my corner, I don't think my career lasts 21 years. I really don't. But, TK being a great talent evaluator, he was a mentor, and you don't appreciate these things when you're going through it. You don't. I didn't appreciate all this until I left Minnesota, to think about how inspirational that TK was in my major league development. So, so I got my grandparents, my mom, in the minor leagues, and just, everything that was instilled in me. And then once I got to the major leagues, I had TK, And when I left TK, I went right to Dusty Baker. So I think my foundation was solid.
Wow.
I had a solid foundation.
I tell you what, TK and Dusty Baker, that's quite a combination.
The first two big league managers, yes, indeed, Jim.
Man.
Well, LaTroy, you don't remember, but I was with you. I covered you in 2004 when you were with the Cubs. And then I came here in November of 2004, and Dusty Baker and I witnessed your immaculate inning, covered that game where you struck out 9 pitchers versus the Marlins. I will never forget that day because I was thinking, I kind of got the chills when you said your podcast was named Thick Skin Podcast, because in that one season, I saw how you were riding high, and justifiably so, because you're pitching so well. And then how Cubs fans booed you, and how some of, I would say, the Chicago media got on you. And I was thinking, are you kidding me? Like how the roller coaster went that year. But I have to tell you, to me, and I was just like the young girl. I just had, I've been in Chicago maybe for almost 5 years at that point. But I'd never seen Cubs fans, especially because they hadn't won anything, turn on someone so fast. But you were always the epitome of class. And you were one of my favorite, players. I was always in the scrum. I was at CLTV. I wasn't like one of the 4 major stations, but you were always my favorite. But I will never forget, I've had some distinct moments. I was there with the Bartman ball, years at a different point. But to see you pitch that immaculate inning, it's one of those moments that are like forever embedded in my mind. I don't know where that stands in your whole illustrious career of 20 plus years, but that was an amazing, just 9 pitches to like do away with them. I was like blown away.
It was, and you're right, man. That time in Chicago was definitely one of the tougher seasons for me in my major league career. And only because I left Minnesota, where everybody's Minnesota nice.
Yeah.
To walk into the hornet's nest of the Chicago media. Mm-hmm. Was I rough around the edges when it came to dealing with some of the stuff that the media was writing and saying? Yes, because, where I'm from, if you attack me, I'm very well prepared to snap back.
Right.
And was it the right thing to do at the time? No, but I felt like I was defending myself because I didn't have anybody to defend me. And the only body who could defend LaTroy at that time was LaTroy. That immaculate inning was September 11th, 2004.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
September 11th. I didn't know that I threw that until 2012 when I signed with the Angels. I was signing autographs at Disney out in Anaheim. And a guy wanted me to write it on a ball.
Wow.
And I'm like, what are you talking about? I got over 10 years in the major leagues at this time, and I had no clue.
Really?
No clue. No clue at all. Blue. I was like, what? Immaculate. I didn't even know it after the game. Nobody told me.
Weird.
Stop.
Nobody
Are you kidding me?
Nobody told me. It was 8 years later when I found out.
That's crazy.
Oh my goodness.
8
I knew that later. Day.
I had no clue. Even if you listen to the announcement, to my knowledge, I've watched it recently in the last 2 months.
The game itself?
Yeah. The
broadcast?
They don't talk about immaculate inning. It's like he struck out the side in 9 pitches.
Oh.
They don't talk
at the game, we knew. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing to me.
Nope. So I had no clue. After the game, not one reporter brought it to my knowledge. But I look at it this way too, because when I did well in the city, nobody talked to us, the bullpen. When you do bad, it's the only time they talk to you.
Right.
And I always thought that thought process for me was so butt backwards. And if you're going to be in the player's face when he does bad, you have to be in his face asking him what was his thought process when he was successful. Mm-hmm. And they never did that. They didn't do it often enough. I won't say they didn't do it often enough. Mm. And a lot of times when I did convert a save, I was doing the quarterback thing. I was giving credit to the guys who pitched before me.
Right.
Because those guys got no airtime. They got none.
Right.
And in my mind, the bullpen is one of the most important pieces of a team. So whoever comes out of the bullpen, they're important. They're coming in the game in a very important spot. You can lose the game in the 6th inning, you can lose it in the 9th inning, or you can lose it in the 1st. So at those pivotal moments, I don't think back then we looked at all those pivotal moments where, whoa, this game could have got out of hand had Tony Fiore, Jim, hadn't came in and put the flames out.
The vulture,
right. And handed the ball to LaTroy, and then LaTroy was able to hand it to Eddie Guardado. Without Tony, without J.C. Romero, without Mike Jackson and all those guys, like, it's not possible. Mm-hmm. It's not possible. So I just always thought like they only came to talk to you when you did bad, and I didn't like that.
Mm. Well, you're leading into a topic I really wanted to get into with you today, and that is the Twins this year. You guys had an excellent bullpen because of Eddie, and then there were some underrated people who ended up mixing there. Like I said, Tony Fiore was not exactly a top prospect, but he pitched really well for you guys. This is current Twins team now. I'm not sure we've ever seen this kind of collection of arms in a Twins bullpen. Not only you have Duran, who throws about 103. You have Brock Stewart, who throws about 101 with break. You got Jax, who throws about 98. You got Varland, who throws about 100 when he is a reliever as opposed to being a starter. Thielbar has been excellent for this team, and they keep adding. They keep adding outstanding bullpen arms. They got Topa in the trade. I'm interested in your perspective on where this team is headed with that, and if you see that as kind of an evolution where for some of these starters, they're only really going to want them to go 5 innings because they want to get to the bullpen arms.
Well, it has been an evolution for the Minnesota Twins because I think we were behind the curve with the guys with the 95 plus fastball consistently. Derek and Thad have done a great job of keying in on guys that we needed in this bullpen. I think our player development has done a great job helping guys gain more miles per hour on their fastball. So it's been a collective. It's been a collective effort from player development, the front office, and the major league staff being able to develop these arms that we've seen from the teams that have won over the last 8 years. What we needed to be successful from a bullpen perspective. When you start talking about the starters, last year I think we were either first or second in innings pitched or innings per start from a starter. Mm-hmm. And the year before, Rocco took a lot of heat because our guys are only going 3 and 4 and sometimes 5 innings. Well, when you have the horses where you can keep guys out there longer, then you keep them. But when you don't, you got to get them out of there. And I don't think a lot of fans really understand that because, their mentality is, they're going on analytics. Well, we're going on our, what we have, what with the hand that we're dealt. Mm-hmm. So, and when you're doing that, you're wearing the bullpen out because when the bullpen has to cover 4 innings every night, that's going to catch up. That's going to catch up to you. Last year, we were able to get past that and push guys to that 6th inning. And now your bullpen is only having to cover 3 innings a night, maybe 2 2/3 or something. That's when your bullpen takes that next step because guys are always well rested. So they're always going to feel good. And when you're feeling good out there, that helps with your performance a lot of the time. But you're right. We have some guys. We got some arms. We got Akla. Hopefully he's healthy this year and he can come back. He's 97 and 99 miles an hour himself.
With a nice slider.
Yeah.
Good slider. And we got Griffin Jacks, who's, he was a starter. His fastball has ticked up over the last couple of years. And with his slider and his sweeper, he's learned that pitch. He's added to his repertoire. Now it makes him that much more dangerous coming out of the bullpen. Like you said, we brought in Topa. Topa had a great year last year. 75 appearances, I think. I mean, that's a lot of appearances in 2023. Not many guys coming out of the bullpen is throwing that many innings.
Yeah.
Having that many appearances, and we just brought on Stallman. He throws hard. So I mean, we've tried to replace a couple guys, and that we left. We got Sonny Gray that left, and you have Maeda left, and hopefully Paddock can come back off of Tommy John surgery and be the pitcher we thought he could be when we traded for him from San Diego. And I'm a big Bailey Ober fan. I'm a huge Bailey Ober fan.
Yeah, I am too.
Bailey is just a guy. He's going to go out there. It's not going to be uber pretty and anything. He's going to go out there and do his job. He's going to get the job. Will he give us some home runs? Yes, it's part of it. He's going to give some home runs. But I love the way his mound presence. I like his pitch mix. I like how he attacks the zone. Doesn't walk a lot of guys. So when you don't walk a lot of guys, so people don't know, when you don't walk a lot of guys, that means one thing. You're in the strike zone a lot. So when you're in the strike zone, guys, major league hitters, they're going to hit strikes. So he's going to give up some. But he's not giving up free passes. And that's my admiration with my big boy Bailey Ober. And we got, Lopez, who's coming off an incredible season. And you know what? If he can keep progressing, to that Cy Young type of expectations that he has for himself and that we have on him, that helps with our fan base trading him for Luis Arias. And, that just helps for that. And we needed the pitching, and to get a good pitcher, you got to give up something good. And we had to give up a really good hitter to get a really good pitcher. And then Joe Ryan, hopefully he can have a bounce back season. Not that he had a terrible season, but he had that stretch towards the end of the season where he just, he wasn't out there long. He was giving up a whole lot of home runs. And hopefully he can continue to work on his off-speed pitches so he can reduce some of those home runs that he gave up last year. And you know what? We have a good team. We just need our young guys not to have that sophomore slump. And if we can keep them from having that sophomore slump, I think we're going to be a very good team in the National League, and we're going to be at the top of the American League Central, and hopefully we're winning some games late in October.
LaTroy, I know you. Oh, sorry, Jim.
No, go ahead.
I know that you you deal with so many different personalities when you're dealing with the pitcher. But when you said earlier that you work from the neck up, what is maybe the number one thing overall, or maybe there's a couple that you have to deal with young pitchers, especially so they don't get into a sophomore slump, or what do you see generally? Is it hard where they think they're going to be like a starter and they move to, middle relief or closer, or what's the number one from the neck up issue that you work on with these kids?
The number one issue is confidence. Reminding them that they are good enough. Because I think I'm probably the one guy that doesn't overload them with information.
Yeah.
And in this day and age, some guys get overloaded with information. And as an organization, we do a good job of we do a good job of being conscious of trying not to do that. But with me, they know I'm not going to overload them with information. What I'm giving them is simple. And I always tell them, what I'm telling you is from experience, from the book of Done Did It, or the book of Been There and Done That. So it's not coming from a computer. It's not coming from Rapsodo or TrackMan. It's coming from Hawkman. But it's all about working with their, just helping them mentality. There is a mentality that you have to have, and helping them understand, like, you know what, that guy that you're facing, he want to drive a nice car.
Yeah.
He want to have a nice house. He want to eat at the finest restaurants. You got to make sure, you got to find a way where you can cut one of those three things he like to do. You got to find a way you can take one of those from him. Find out, because if you don't, so he's going to take one from you. He's going to take one from you. So we got to figure it out. And it starts with confidence. Then it goes to being able to execute a plan. And when you can execute a plan with the mentality, it works in your favor. It works in your favor from a baseball perspective. And it also is, I always tell them, remember, hitting is hard. Hitting is hard. So don't give them a lot of credit.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hey, I want to get at least one more topic, but first, tell me about your. You have a local business you're involved with, XL Power Bikes. Tell me about that.
Yeah. During the pandemic, the shortened season in 2020, good friend of mine, Eric Weber, you've probably seen some of the stories. He's in my fan club. When he was, I think he started, I met him when he was probably a sophomore in high school. He's the kid that I gave my BMW to go to the prom, his senior prom out in Hastings.
Oh, I remember that story. That was great.
Yes, it was Eric. He's graduated from college. You know, one of the best men in his wedding. And during the pandemic, he started this company where he bought these electric bikes and just rented them out on the riverfront down in Hastings. So he was like, hey, when you come up here, I'll give you a bike to ride back and forth to the ballpark. So he brought me a bike 2 days in. I was like, hey, let's buy about 15 more of these bikes. These things are incredible.
Wow.
Tried to order them. They were sold out because of the pandemic. You know, people were trying to get outside. And later on that year, he had rented to a family and the guy wanted to start his own company. So he brought Eric in and, you know, said, you know, raise some money and we can start the company. So we raised some money, we started the company, and the rest is history. We're out of River Falls. We got 4 bikes on the market right now. And if you go to xlpowerbikes.com, you can see the bikes. We got the City Slicker. We have the Hawk, named after me. We have the Showtime, named after what I named Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And we
your
have
godson, right? Isn't Patrick Mahomes your godson? Yeah.
Patrick, yes. And then we have the Big Ticket, which we named after Kevin Garnett.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we also added over the last couple of years a hunting bike with the hunting colors, super quiet. The motor's amazing to get up and down, you know, the mountain or some rough terrain. So, you know, I'll be in Minnesota in March for the big outdoors convention over in St. Paul. I'll be giving, be there with, you know, with our booth at our booth. I'll be giving, signing autographs for, you know, people that come by the booth, and hopefully we can sell some more bikes. And it's starting our 5th year, and business has been, it's been steady, getting better every year. It's getting better every year.
Is the Hawk your favorite?
You know what? Actually, the Big Ticket is my favorite. The Big Ticket. Awesome. I love the Big Ticket. It's big. It's probably about 72 pounds. Wow. And I was a big Kevin Garnett fan, so it was perfect for me.
Does it trash talk while you're driving it?
No, I wish we could get it to do that, but you know, we're steady updating a lot of the features that we have. Change the throttle to the other side from the right side to the left side. You know, we're just trying to make the bike better. It's user friendly. It's great for people who, you know, I always tell people it's great for couples, because a lot of times when it's a couple, somebody's going to be in better shape than the other. And
someone's going to be lagging behind and needing your bike.
Somebody's going to be lagging behind. You're correct. And with the bike, the battery goes 40 to 50 miles. So, I mean, you can keep up with your spouse, you know, all the time. And if you guys can go out on a long ride and don't have to worry about getting too tired and having to come back, you can just you can pedal assistance 1 through 5, or you can be on 0 and you can use it as a regular bike.
Oh, awesome.
Yep.
That's cool. Well, thanks for telling us about that. Now it's Super Bowl week. So tell us if you have any good insights into Patrick Mahomes. Also, what have you made of the whole Taylor Swift scene?
Ooh, insight on Patrick. You know what? Chatted with him for a little bit yesterday. He's always the same. He's always cool, calm, and collective, man. It's like he understands what he has to do. He's a great leader because he understands how to get his guys around him ready to play. But you know what? It's the Super Bowl. Anything can happen. But I think this Super Bowl will mean a lot more to everybody in that Kansas City Chiefs organization and all Kansas City Chiefs fans because of the type of season that they had. They had a very up and down season. I think they ended up 11-6 in the regular season. And, a lot of people counted them out to being in this situation right here, being in the Super Bowl again, being in a position where they can defend their championship last year. So this one I think is going to be a little bit more sweeter for all those guys and all the Chiefs fans. And I have no doubt they're going to pull it off. And the Taylor Swift effect, you know what? I think people are in an uproar over nothing. I think people find a way to hate everything if they don't approve of it. Taylor's just another girlfriend who happens to be a mega superstar supporting her man.
Mm-hmm.
That's all she is. That's all she is. And I hope and I wish people just saw her as that. I understand what the NFL is doing, and hey, they showing her, that's fine. At first I was like, why? But once you really start to sit down and think about it, her ability to bring in a whole different demographic of fans to the NFL is something we've never seen before. Never seen it.
And $330 million too. That's a lot of money. The NFL's going to keep showing her.
Yeah, but she got girls, young girls,
yes,
watching football.
Yes.
I don't see the problem with that. That should be, we should be applauding that and not trying to tear her down or tear the NFL down because of that. I think that I tell people she don't control the camera. She don't. She really don't. She don't.
Well, I said, that's the thing, LaTroy. She's sitting in a booth with everybody else. She's not asking for attention.
Right.
And here's the other thing. Not only is she not asking for attention, the cameras are, I think the New York Times did a piece on this. The cameras are on her about 25 seconds a
yes.
game.
Yeah, combined. Yes. Right.
I was going to get to that too. I was going to get to that. And I'm like, if that's the next, I said, if out of 25 seconds, no more than 40 seconds of the game, you see her and that bugs you out of a 3.5-hour game.
Right.
I think you need to check yourself. You really need to check yourself.
And we've said it before. We've said it before on this podcast too. I mean, I just think, first of all, I think most people either like Taylor Swift or just don't care. It's just not a big deal to them. I think it's a very small minority, but it's a very vocal minority. And it's people who are misogynists or they're afraid of powerful women or whatever. Because Taylor Swift has never done anything in her life to invite criticism.
Well, and we had said this just like you, Troy, that at the beginning, when we weren't sure if it was a publicity stunt, like, does she really like him? What is this for? And we're like, well, what's going on here? And then when we realized these are just two people that are trying to date each other in a high-powered, careers, both of them. And Jim, I even said this on this podcast. Remember, Jim, I've changed my tune. They're actually dating. Who cares? This is fun. Let it live out. My photographer has a young girl, and he's like, I love it. For the first time ever, she's watching football with me on Sunday. She's watching it.
That's the effect. She's brought in so many people. She's great for their business. She's a great human being. And she's not, the thing I always said was, Travis Kelce doesn't need more attention. Taylor Swift doesn't need more attention. There was never any reason for them to manufacture this.
Great way to look at it, Jim. Right. They don't need more attention. She happens to be a billionaire and he happens to be a millionaire, and they're both superstars in their respective field.
Yes.
They're both superstars.
And they're both great people too.
And they're both great people because Kelce is a good dude. He is a solid dude. But I don't people just never cease to amaze me, man. Like my mama used to always say, man, you can't satisfy everybody.
Right.
You can't satisfy everybody. Somebody's gonna have something to say. They're gonna have something to say. And people who are fed up with 40 seconds of Taylor Swift out of a 3-hour and 30-minute game, they have issues.
She's on camera less than long snappers.
Exactly.
And everyone loved when Jason Kelce took his shirt off and jumped out of the suite and kind of made a spectacle. Some of my friends were like, why are you showing Jason? Why are you making a big deal? How many seconds are we on? Who do you sound like?
Mm-hmm.
Which I love the Jason taking the shirt off and doing that. And I love it when they go, I love seeing people's reactions to what's going on in a game. That's, we don't live in a world that is all about this. Like, that's why we always say, hey, give me a cutaway. Show me fan reactions. Give me the heroes. Give the atmosphere. And that is the atmosphere.
That's the atmosphere. And she just happened to be a megastar. And she hadn't said one word, one word. Kelsey hadn't said one word. They hadn't said anything. Yeah. Everything that's being said is from somebody else's perspective. Mm-hmm. They hadn't said anything. And you know what? That's great because nobody needs to know. They're dating. They're having fun. They're both young. And I tell you what, 98% of the population wish they were them.
Yeah. It's like the Marilyn Monroe or Joe DiMaggio,
Yes. Higher than 98.
Higher than 98?
Yes.
Higher than 98.
Well, hey, LaTroy, always great catching up with you. Really appreciate the conversation as always. I'm sure we'll talk again soon. Any final thoughts for us? Anything else you want to chat about before we let you go?
No, just, hey, if you're out there listening to podcasts, listen to this podcast, listen to Thick Skin Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts from, come check us out. Jock and I were just talking about what we know, and that's baseball and a few other things.
Beautiful. All right, LaTroy, we'll catch up again soon. Really appreciate the time. And I don't know that I'm going to be in spring training, but I'm sure I'll see you at some point this year.
All right. You guys be good.
Thank you, LaTroy.
Thank you.